Welcome back. It's Saturday night. Thank you for joining me here on Mr. Eric Reads. Tonight we're going back to Todd Key and his silly stories, but hilarious stories, in my opinion. We're going to find out who stole my homework. And the reason I chose this book is because I know at this point now, everybody is ready to go back to school, right? No? You're not. It's still a funny book. Can we read it anyway? Todd Key's Who Stole My Homework, tonight on Mr. Eric Reads. I was sleeping quite soundly, nestled deep in my dreaming, when a shout cut the air. 'Twas my mom, and she was screaming.
I am not screaming,
she shouted.
I'm prodding, I'm nudging. It's the 9th time I've called and you haven't been budging. I'm sleeping, I'm snoozing, I'm dreaming, I'm drowsy. Just give me 5 more minutes or my whole day will be lousy. Darius McDougal, there's no time to discuss. Get your buns out of bed or you might miss the bus.
I grumbled and groused, but I got out of bed. I threw on some clothes and combed hairs on my head. Down to the kitchen like a zombie I walked, and slept through my breakfast while Mom and Dad talked. With eyes barely open, I chomped and I drooled. Then I toothbrushed my teeth and I set off for school. Down to the corner, I shuffled my feet, climbed onto the bus, and plopped down in my seat. It was then that I noticed something strange when I looked. All of my friends on the bus had their noses in books. Side by side, they sat reading and writing things down as the bus bumped and jostled through the streets of the town. The pages are hard to turn. What's going on? I asked Brindle Winnast. She sits 4 rows behind me in Miss Clackerson's class.
Are you kidding? It's Monday. Today's the big day. We turn in our report that counts for half of our grade.
Without 1 ounce of panic or a hint of defeat, I clutched tight to my book bag and sat back in my seat. For once in my life, I had done my work early. It made me feel happy and giddy and squirrely. Yes, my paper was done. It was great. It was grand. Every word spelled correctly, written neatly by hand. Deep in my book bag in a folder of blue, it will sit till our teacher proclaims that it's due. But a thought began gnawing at the back of my mind. My folded report. Have I left it behind? So I unzipped my bag to once again peer at a folder of blue that I tucked to the rear.
paragraph. Whew. My paper was missing. It's gone. It's been took. Oh, God. But how do I find it? Like, where do I look?
It's got to be robbers who sell homework for cash.
Or maybe my mom threw it out with the trash.
The wind might have snatched it and blown it to France, and a knight could have pierced it with the end of his lance. Or maybe it's pirates or puffins or pixies, or a time-traveling trope phasing back to the 60s. Whoever it was, or whatever, or when, I'll find where it is. I'll find out where it's been. Perhaps it was Draxons from the planet of Draper, using their long, super long vacuums to suck up my paper. An invisible man, a wild pack of dingo, a robot that reads, or a beetle named Ringo. Any of these could have taken my folder, I thought as I scratched at an itch on my shoulder. Perhaps it was mole men digging up through the ground. They snatched up my work without making a sound. Then they burrowed back down to the core of the planet, engraving my writings on the great walls of granite. Or termites chew wood and wood pulp is paper. Could a family of bugs be the end of this caper? Maybe my work has been folded and creased and then mailed on a pack mule to Tibet, north of east. Or corked in a bottle? Now that would be clever. Then thrown to the sea, where it will float forever. Creased, chewed, or corked, or mailed by a mule, I must find my paper before getting to school. A thought then occurred, an idea that had merit. I leapt to my feet and began then to share it. Brindle wind, pinch me, or poke, prod, or shake. I think that I'm dreaming, and I need to awake. So she poked and pinched and prodded. I yelped, ouched, and hissed. Then she finished me off with a on my cheek where she kissed. Ew. Ew. Her pinch, poke, and kiss didn't wake me at all, which means I'm in trouble, and I may have to stall. Right then, a loud screech as the bus began stopping. My eyes opened wide, and my pulse started flopping. My school loomed before us, wood beams, brick, and glass, and waiting inside was Miss Clackerson's class. I lowered my head as I entered the room. I slumped down at my desk and awaited my doom. The morning moved slowly with math and spelling, but all I could think was which story I'm telling. pixies or pirates or Draxtons or thieves. There's got to be one that she's going to believe. It was then, quite precisely 9 minutes past 2, when my teacher announced that our homework was due. She announced it quite loudly, like a bullhorn she vented. She announced in a voice that said, "Now!" And she meant it. Every kid in the room, every Tom, Nate, and Steve, they all stopped in their tracks, not one daring to breathe. When Miss Clackerson speaks, she likes to be heard. No one voices a sound and no one utters a word.
I shall not call your names. You will rise by one, stack your work at my desk, then return when you are done.
First Bobby, then Shanty, then Brindle Wynn Nast, then all of the rest, but she saved me for last. My palms started sweating, my face started twitching, my cheeks started flushing, and my toes began itching. My mouth started mumbling about Draxons from Draper, about mole men and robots and bugs that eat paper, but my throat was so dry and that my mouth couldn't speak and my eyes couldn't see and my legs, they were weak. I marched to the front where my teacher did stand. She said,
"Darius McDougal, please open your hand."
Was this some sort of trick, a cruel joke, or a prank? The kind that would end with a squeeze or a spank? She set into my hand a thick folder of blue with my name on the front, and it was then that I knew.
"Class, Darius did something that I've not seen before. He dropped this off Friday before leaving the door." "I am awed by his paper. It is great. It is grand. Every word spelled correctly, written neatly by hand. Darius McDougal, for your efforts, I must give you not just an A, but an A plus, plus, plus."
The end. Not a bad way to end the day for old Darius McDougal. But that again, guys, is Todd Key's Darius McDougal series. And this one is Who Stole My Homework? Saturday night, Mr. Eric Reads. Thank you so much for joining me. Please continue to share videos that you enjoy. Let me know about authors or stories that you really like. My kids got some really good books this Christmas that I will be reading to you guys as well, to include the follow-up to one of my personal favorites, The Gruffalo. And this one's called The Gruffalo's Child, and that's probably coming at you pretty soon. Enjoy your Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your Christmas break. I look forward to seeing you guys again. Come back tomorrow.